Mocap ready.
And action! I think the thing that people need to keep very strongly in mind is that this is not an animated film. These actors did not just stand at a lectern and do a voice part, and then animators went off for the next 2 years and created the entire physicality of their performance.
The most exciting thing is, it is my performance. This thing walks and talks and acts like me. It's my interpretation.
Every nuance, every tiny bit of the performance that you see on the screen was created by the actors. They had to run, they had to leap, they had to fight, they had to do all the things that you see them doing in the film. And that's where the power of the performance comes from.
It's not just we're capturing emotion, we're trying to capture what's the intent of the actor.
Let's go!
What CGI technology does is it replaces prosthetics. Actors can now play any character that's designed in the computer without going through hours and hours of makeup. And what we get is their performance coming through the CGI character.
Performance captures a technique where you try to capture the performance of an actor and translate it to a digital character.
Prior to them even moving out into the performance capture world, we put the actors inside this giant sphere covered with lights, and we could photograph them and study their facial features and try to understand how to design their characters.
This is great.
And then you put an actor in a suit with markers on the suit.
We put you in a spatial volume.
Using a lot of cameras all around to record the motions of all the markers.
The computer is creating a real-time moving skeleton of you. From that skeleton, you now can drive a computer-generated character.
The intent is to capture the entire performance of the talent. We're recording tons of high-definition reference from all these different angles so that we can really get those subtle nuances.
The part that we had to create during the making of this film was the facial image-based performance capture technology that allowed what the actors did to 100% translate to what you see the characters doing. So we came up with this idea that we would actually have a little boom, and on the end of that boom, there'd be a little tiny camera, and it would image the face while the actor was working.
What we're trying to do is take what the actor is doing emotionally in any given scene and to translate that into the characters. And we do that by using their muscles. It gives us a way to correspond emotion to what you actually see expressed in the character's face.
It was a very, very exciting time where we realized that we had rounded that corner and that we had true human emotion captured and performed by a non-human character.
But they sent me here to learn your ways.
What are you saying, Jake? You knew this would happen?
Yes. Basically, you got 190 infrared cameras looking down on you. There's nowhere to hide, so every take you have to be truthful.
I think people expected the actors to find it more difficult, but we're always doing make-believe anyway, so pretending that nothing is everything is second nature to us.
What about this one? Run, don't run.
Run! Definitely run!
It takes you back to the old theater days, where you may just have one chair in the middle of your little black box theater, and you have to imagine everything that's going on around it.
You've got to just let go of all of the things that you thought was supposed to happen and just do it. And let your imagination run.
You get so deep into this world that you start hearing, seeing, feeling Pandora. That happened from day one that I walked on this set. I had to take everything I learned in training and apply it to my first day.
It helps you detach from the fact that you're shooting a movie. You're able to really dig into your character.
It's not animation. It's capturing the avatar version of Norm.
Even though I'm big, 9 foot tall and blue, it's got my personality. It's got my soul. That's quite spectacular that a computer-generated image can do that. And that really surprised me.
The door has just barely been opened on what's possible with this.
One of the things that I'm always going to take with me is the fact that I was a part of a revolutionary experience in Hollywood.
So my name is Matt Whitecross and we're here on the set of Coldplay Video for
adventure of a lifetime. So we're here in, a lot of people probably recognise this as the volume, which is what they use for Avatar. And this all came about because Chris had met Andy and they were keen to do something together, we weren't really sure what. So we just kind of decided to book a date and we'd kind of figure it out as we went along, which is more or less what's happened.
Well, it goes back to actually working with Matt Whitecross, who has known the band for a long time. He's been very good friends with them ever since they were all at college together. And he said, you know, you really must meet Chris from Coldplay because he is a very, you know, apart from being a brilliant musician, you know, he's a very visual person, very artistic person, and I just think there might be some synergy somewhere with the Imaginarium, which is, as we began to get the Imaginarium together, our performance capture studio. So that sort of was a few years ago, and then about a year ago, I was flying back from LA, and suddenly I was sitting in my seat on the plane, and I got tapped on the shoulder, and there was Chris Martin sitting behind me.
So we start off the day coming to this space. Now if you can see these cameras up here and here and here, there's cameras everywhere, and effectively they're creating a grid system. They're all infrared. They've got the guys over there, you can see one of our dancers, Kenji, has got all these markers on them which are just reflective material like you'd have on a police jacket. And so all that is bouncing back onto the sensors which effectively tell the computer where everyone is. So everyone wears these ridiculous looking suits, and some of them, including Chris, are wearing the performance capture cameras on their front so they can record what they're doing, their face is doing as well.
So the band started to very quickly, I mean, I showed them a few bits and pieces and just kind of where to centre their weight and so on, but really it was, and then just threw in a few ideas here and there, but Matt was onto it, and Chris was onto it, and he was just really, you could just see him really vibing off it and really enjoying it. And then the band members started to enjoy themselves, and we thought, well, let's do apes all playing their instruments for a start, get, you know, as a way in, and then with the dancing, and it just sort of had its own energy, and narrative grew out of that.
So at the end of the day, we ended up with a whole bunch of collected data that was their performance. And then the fun started of taking all that cold clinical data and cleaning it up and trying to make sense of all the dots and what they meant in terms of performance for monkeys. And then we had to get to the matter of designing monkeys.
We basically started from sort of more realistic monkeys, and we liked them, but at the same time we felt like they didn't have enough character from the band members. So we went through different iterations, fur colors. Each one of them had a specific face shape and details. That's what basically we provided to mathematics, so the final concept models.
The first thing that has come to us was that everything was set together by the director. Like we got a really precise edit with a fine intention of what they wanted to achieve. Our goal was to
In the olden days, what you'd see on a movie set would look pretty much the same as what you'd see in the final film. But with modern technology giving us the capability of CGI, all you need is a green screen and a couple of props. And because of this, movie sets nowadays look completely different to what you see in the final movie. So here are some movie clips without the visual effects, for you to see what they really look like. Life of Pi. In this movie, we see that Pi Patel spends most of his time in a boat at sea. Oh yeah, and there's a tiger there too. Except they're not at sea and there's no tiger there. Nearly the entire movie was filmed in front of a blue screen, and the tiger was completely CGI. However, for the close-up shots where Pi has to physically interact with the tiger, they didn't use a tiger either. They used a blue teddy bear, with badly scribbled on eyes. Captain America Civil War. This film used tons of green screens for locations that you would have thought you could get away without having to use it. Like the fight scene between Team Iron Man and Team Captain America that takes place in an airport. I mean, is an airport really something that has to be done with CGI? Apparently so. But the scene where Captain America stops the helicopter from taking off with his bare hands makes more sense, as that was done at ground level rather than on a dangerous rooftop. The Wolf of Wall Street. You'd think that being based on a true story, there wouldn't really be any need for fancy fantasy scenery, but this film was full of it. It was used for foreign locations the characters visited, to enhance the beach houses that they partied at, and of course for more obvious things like having a lion walk through the office. Yeah. Gravity. This wasn't actually entirely filmed in front of green screens, but in front of TV screens, in order to get the right lighting on the actors' faces. But yes, the majority of the scenery is computer generated, as so are some of the props, as some of the controls you think they're interacting with aren't even there. I'm not sure if this is clever or just lazy. Godzilla! Of course, Godzilla was completely CGI, because using a guy in a suit doesn't really cut the mustard these days. But aside from the obvious CGI, there is some CGI that might actually surprise you. For example, when the army's on the coast trying to attack the monsters, there's nothing there. Just green screens and a fence and some soldiers. Jurassic World. Of course, this movie heavily relies on CGI, as dinosaurs are extinct, and dressing an actor up in a dino suit looks, well, we all know what that looks like. So as a result, many of the scenes look entirely different to what's seen in the movie. In many scenes where a dinosaur would appear, actors had to imagine there was something there. And in other scenes involving raptors, for example, they had actors with these funny helmets and motion sensors on them for a point of reference. And as if creating pretty much all the dinosaurs with CGI wasn't enough CGI, even the scenery was enhanced with CGI, made to look even more amazing. Batman vs Superman in Dawn of Justice. Most of the Gotham City scenery was done with CGI, and being a fictional city, this was to be expected. But what's surprising is that they used CGI for Batman's powered armor, in order for the actors to be able to move around more freely. And for a huge chunk of the fight, it wasn't even Ben Affleck fighting. It was just a stuntman. Huh. What did you think of these scenes? Did they look completely different? Let us know in the comments below.
For your daily celeb fix, subscribe.